Ryan Carter had been chasing the thrill of the mountains for years, but nothing prepared him for this trip. The trail he'd chosen was rumored to be abandoned, far from tourists, and steeped in local legends that people whispered but never explored. The wind cut through the trees like knives, and the clouds above clung to the peaks as if hiding something. He adjusted his backpack and pressed onward, unaware that the mountain had been watching him long before he arrived. The forest was eerily silent. No birds, no rustle of squirrels, just the crunch of Ryan's boots against dry leaves. Then, from a distant clearing, he saw her, Haley Brooks. She was impossibly striking, standing as if she had always belonged there, her hair catching the fading sunlight. Ryan froze, heart pounding. Something about her gaze was unnatural. He called out, but she didn't respond. Instead, she turned and started walking deeper into the forest, disappearing among the shadows. Compelled by curiosity, Ryan followed. Every step seemed to pull him farther from the safety of the known trail. His sense of time began to distort. Minutes stretched into eternity. He remembered a warning his friend Olivia Grant had given him. That part of the mountain isn't for visitors. Some things shouldn't be seen. He laughed nervously to himself, dismissing her caution as overprotective worry. The deeper he went, the stranger things became. Twisted trees seemed to lean toward him, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. Shadows moved in ways that defied physics, and an icy chill gnawed at the back of his neck. Then he saw her again. Haley, just a few meters ahead, glancing back with a half-smile that made his stomach twist. She beckoned him forward with a slow, deliberate motion. Something about her was magnetic, terrifying, and impossible to resist. By the time he reached the clearing where she had been, it was empty. No sign of footprints, no rustle in the underbrush, nothing. Only the echo of her laughter lingered in the crisp mountain air. Panic began to creep in. He was alone, the mountain around him suddenly alive with unseen eyes. And then, faintly, he heard a whisper carried by the wind. "You shouldn't be here." Ryan's breath came in short, ragged gasps. The forest around him had changed. Trees twisted into shapes that didn't seem natural, their branches reaching out like grasping hands. Every snap of a twig underfoot made him flinch. His rational mind screamed to turn back, but the memory of Haley Brooks's haunting gaze and the way she had beckoned him kept him moving forward. As he stumbled over a moss-covered log, he noticed faint footprints in the dirt. They were small, delicate, impossibly feminine. And yet there was something off. The prints seemed to vanish and reappear, like the earth itself didn't want to reveal where she had been. Ryan crouched, tracing the shallow impressions with a trembling hand. A chill ran down his spine. These weren't normal footprints. They seemed alive. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying with it a scent of smoke and something metallic, like blood. Ryan froze. From somewhere deep in the shadows, he heard a faint rustling, then a soft humming, a melody so sweet it almost seemed comforting, yet every note felt like a warning. He realized it was her voice. Haley was near. Suddenly, a figure darted between the trees. Ryan raised his hands to shield his eyes. It was Haley, but different. Her eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the dimming sunlight, and her movements were unnervingly fast, almost too fluid for a human. She paused just long enough to look at him, and for a split second he thought he could see her smile widen unnaturally. "Ryan." Her voice echoed through the clearing, though there was no visible source. "Why are you here?" He swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. I don't know." The forest seemed to react to his words. The trees groaned and shadows coalesced into shapes that lurked at the edges of his vision. The air grew thick and heavy. Ryan tried to take a step back and felt the ground vanish beneath him. He stumbled into a hollow, a natural depression lined with rocks and roots, and realized he had fallen deeper into the heart of the mountain. From above, a flicker of movement caught his eye. Haley stood on a rocky outcrop, motionless, watching. Her presence radiated something primal, dangerous, almost magnetic. Ryan knew in that instant that this was no ordinary person, and the forest was no ordinary place. Something ancient, something unseen had claimed her, and now it was aware of him. A whisper floated on the wind. "You should have left when you had the chance." Ryan's pulse raced. Every instinct screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. He was trapped, and the forest seemed to know it. The chase was only beginning. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The forest around him no longer seemed natural. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, moving independently of the sun, and faint whispers echoed from every direction. The air was thick, almost alive, pressing against his skin like invisible hands. Every step he took felt heavier, as if the mountain itself was trying to hold him. From the shadows ahead, Haley Brooks appeared again, emerging as if she had been conjured from the mist itself. Her hair whipped around her face, but it wasn't the playful beauty of before. Her eyes glowed with an intensity that froze Ryan in place. There was no warmth, no recognition, only a raw, almost predatory curiosity. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice both alluring and terrifying. The sound seemed to echo inside Ryan's skull, vibrating through his bones. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Fear had stolen his voice. A sudden gust of wind tore through the clearing, carrying with it fragments of old whispers, stories of hikers who had vanished here, whose footsteps were never found. Ryan felt a cold hand brush against his shoulder, but when he spun around, nothing was there. Panic surged. The forest wasn't just haunted, it was alive. It was hungry. Haley moved closer, her presence commanding, unnatural. Ryan noticed the ground beneath her feet shifting subtly, almost as if the earth itself was reacting to her. Something ancient pulsed beneath the forest floor, responding to her. He realized, with a growing dread, that she wasn't human, or at least not entirely. "Why are you following me?" Haley asked, tilting her head. Her smile was now sharp, like a predator's. "Do you really think you can leave this place?" Ryan stumbled backward, tripping over gnarled roots that seemed to twist and writhe as he passed. In the distance, he saw a faint light, a ranger's cabin maybe, or some semblance of safety. Desperation pushed him forward, but the closer he got, the more the forest seemed to resist. Trees shifted positions, shadows blocked the path, and the whispers grew louder, more urgent, like a chorus warning him to stop. And then, the earth shook beneath his feet. Haley's laugh echoed, high-pitched and impossible, blending with the wind, twisting into something dark and ancient. Ryan realized the truth. The mountains, the forest, even Haley herself, none of it was meant for him. He was an intruder, and the forest was about to reclaim what he had dared to disturb. For the first time, Ryan understood. There was no trail back. Ryan's legs burned, but he ran, driven by a mix of terror and instinct. The faint light he had seen earlier flickered in the distance, like hope itself. But the forest fought him every step of the way. Roots twisted underfoot, shadows surged from the corners of his vision, and a low, almost guttural hum echoed from all around, vibrating through his chest. Then, suddenly, he stumbled into a clearing, and there she was, Haley Brooks, standing perfectly still on a jagged rock, framed by the setting sun. But now, her beauty had vanished. Her face shimmered, almost translucent, and her eyes were hollow, glowing faintly red. Her smile was twisted, unnatural, like the mountain itself had sculpted her features to lure intruders. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered, her voice carried by the wind like 1,000 voices layered together. The ground around her rippled, as if reality itself was bending. Ryan froze, his instincts screaming to run, but his feet felt glued to the earth. In a surge of movement, shadows erupted from the trees, coalescing into shapes that danced around him, circling, whispering, warning. Ryan realized then that Haley was not just a person. She was the forest, a spirit, or something far older, using beauty and curiosity as a trap. Every hiker who had vanished before him had been drawn by the same spell. He tried to speak, to call out, but a cold, invisible force pushed him to his knees. Haley extended a hand, and the shadows around him surged forward. The wind screamed in his ears, carrying a single chilling message. "You belong to the mountain now." The world tilted. Ryan felt himself lifted, pulled into the air by invisible hands. His vision blurred. The forest seemed endless, alive and merciless. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the wind, absorbed by the ancient trees. And then, silence. Hours later, Marcus Hale, the local ranger, found the clearing empty. No trace of Ryan, no footprints, no sign of struggle. Nothing except a faint shimmer on the rocks where the sun hit just right, as if someone, or something, had been standing there, watching. Haley Brooks was never seen again, though some hikers swear they've glimpsed her in the mist, beckoning travelers deeper into the mountains. And those who follow her never return. The forest remained, patient, waiting for the next curious soul foolish enough to wander where they weren't meant to tread.